All right, everybody. Welcome to Fantasy Nuts. My name's Luke Evans. This is my Week 5 recap of the NFL Sunday games. If you like the content, hit a thumbs up, subscribe, comment below. Appreciate all of it. Let's talk about it. Let's start with the Falcons. Had a pretty decent game overseas against the Jets, winning by a touchdown. Kyle Pitts finally got his. Patriots pulled out a nice win over the Texans when the Texans looked like they dominated that game, honestly, if you watched it. Vikings pulled out a last-minute kick win to beat the Lions. Held Jared Goff to only 0 touchdowns. So that was awesome. I was playing against Goff, but I still lost by 3, so it stinks. Let's go to the Eagles. Eagles D did real good containing the Panthers offense. And I said DJ Moore, this was a trap game for DJ Moore. Ended up having 6 points. So those of you that listened, awesome. I'm glad I was right on something this week. Eagles D did good job keeping them in this game, holding the Panthers so that they couldn't score and they could come back. Hurts ran 2 touchdowns in with his legs. He salvaged a decent fantasy game. So Packers and Bengals. Packers and Bengals was a close game too. I'm surprised it took so long for somebody to win in overtime. Every kicker was just shanking it, man. It was pitiful to watch yesterday's games as far as kicking was concerned. So many extra points were missed. It was hard to watch sometimes. And then this game in particularly, nobody could kick the ball to win it. It went back and forth a few times until finally Crosby hit it. The Steelers came out with a win. Najee Harris is looking great. It's a bummer for Juju Schuster owners. His shoulder looks to be hurt. He's probably going to be out this week, maybe longer, so we'll see what the diagnosis is of that. Bears came away with a good win against the Raiders, surprisingly enough. I'm wondering if that has anything to do with the controversy surrounding the coach there, John Gruden, that's going on right now. But Bears come away with a win. Chargers and Browns, what a great game that was to watch. That was the best game yesterday of all day. They were down 14 points at one point to the Browns. They come back and win it 47-42. You got to give the Browns credit. They did awesome also. Both teams scoring over 40 points. That was a high-powered game. Justin Herbert was just too much. 4 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. Over 300 yards passing. Dude's amazing. He's a starter every week from here on out, obviously. All right, let's talk Giants-Cowboys. That was actually kind of a good game up until Saquon Barkley went down with that ankle injury. Looks really, really bad. Don't know how long he's going to be out, but Devontae Booker's definitely going to be on the waiver list this week. Daniel Jones went down. There were a lot of injuries that went on in that game on the Giants side that made it so that game really got out of control for the Giants. But, hey, the bright side of that game was Kadarius Toney looked really good. And Devontae Booker looked all right through the air. So, I think there's some bright spots there to look at fantasy-wise. Obviously, Cowboys look great. CeeDee Lamb had a good game. Dak had a good game. Zeke had a good game. That defense is amazing. Trayvon Diggs is, in my opinion, I think maybe the best corner in the league right now. So, it's a tough team to beat. They may be Super Bowl bound. Cardinals and 49ers, that was an interesting game because they held Kyler Murray better than any team I've seen so far hold Kyler Murray. This was a 17-10 game. Generally, the Cardinals score way more points than that. Kyler Murray is usually looking way better than that. That was a pretty decent job. I think it's about as good as it gets against the Cardinals. I think the NFL needs to be taking notes, the rest of the NFL, so that they can emulate what they did against the Cardinals. Because if you want to beat the Cardinals, that's the way you got to play D against them. And then let's talk about the late night game, Bills and Chiefs. Man, Bills look awesome, right? Josh Allen and that crew. Josh Allen is their running game, and they don't need a running game. Their passing game's amazing. Their defense is amazing. Holding the Chiefs to 20 points. Tyreek Hill, and they just kept him from getting deep. He didn't have a bad fantasy game. He had like 14 points, but they kept him from getting deep and behind the coverage, which stopped those long touchdowns, and they did a great job holding Kelsey. This was definitely the Chiefs' worst game, I think, all year so far as how they played against a defense. I think it has more to do with that Bills defense than it does the offense not clicking. All right, guys, that wraps it up. We'll talk about Colts versus Ravens tomorrow and some waiver wire picks. If you enjoyed the content, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, comment below. We appreciate you getting in on Fantasy Nuts. My name's Luke Evans. Stay Fantasy Nuts.